Quick heads up before we get started. Just like the last episode, there are a few swear words in this one. If you need a censored version, again, sorry, don't have one. Hello, and welcome to episode 3 of Deep Dispatch. My name is Austin. Thank you so much for tuning in. I've got a great episode for you today. We're going deep. This is what Deep Dispatch is all about. Going as deep as we possibly can. Really happy to share the adventure with you. So, yeah, let's get into it. All right. Hello. Hello from the Åland Islands. It's great to be here. It's been a really eventful week, so I'm probably going to break this into 2 parts and kind of just recap everything all at once. So, if you're wondering where the hell are the Åland Islands, are they even real? You're not alone, because pretty much everyone we've tried to explain the Åland Islands to, we get a lot of confused looks. And we get that from our friends and family back home. And we also get it from a lot of Europeans as well. Maybe ones that are a little farther away from this part of the world. I had never heard of this place until a few years ago. I found out about it just literally by looking on a map and saying, okay, hey, what's going on there? Can we get a gig there? That looks like a cool place. Let's go. And within 30 minutes of me looking at it on a map and being intrigued, I sent an email, and then another 30 minutes later, I had an email reply. And this was a few years ago. We got COVID on that tour, which was a bummer, obviously. So we had one show in the Åland Islands back in 2022, and we got to spend a few extra days here just exploring. And it's the kind of place that really sneaks up on you. It's not somewhere that blows you away instantly. You don't get off the plane or the ferry or what have you and see the thing that you're there to see. There's not a main attraction. If I had to tell you to go one place in the Åland Islands, I have no idea what I would even say, because it's just not that kind of place. It's the kind of place you need to go and just sink your teeth in and let it sink its teeth into you. And you might not really fully get a grasp of it until you're on the ferry back to reality. That's what happened the first time we came a few years ago. Had the one gig. Amazing gig. And we're like, oh my God, we need to come back to that venue as often as we can. And if you've spent any time in the live music touring world, you probably know where this story is going. That venue closed, of course, And we had an amazing show there. We got an encore, and they probably would have wanted us to play literally all night, but we had a midnight ferry to catch. And they were still even reluctant to let us go. We talked to multiple people that week, and we said, man, this is a cool place. We want to come back. We want to see more, because that was in the capital city in the downtown area. And there's 6,000 islands here, a few hundred of which are inhabited. Most of the action is on the main island in the main city, Mariehamn. That's where we played the one show, and we talked to multiple people. We said, hey, we want to come back. We want to see more than just the one island. And pretty much everyone said the same thing. Yeah, good luck. They told us that we were really lucky that we even got one gig here. And you can't say something like that to me and not have something in the back of my head go, okay, challenge accepted. You don't think we can play more than one show in the Åland Islands? Watch me book more than one show in the Åland Islands. So this tour, that is what I set out to do. And we ended up with not one, not two, but 8 shows in the Åland Islands. Worked really hard for it, and there's not many other places where I would comb through. Is what's the saying? Comb through with the, you get it. So 8 shows on 4 different islands. So that's kind of the personal backstory. I'll give you the quick non-personal. So if you're wondering what the hell, where Åland Islands, that can't be a real place. Well, it is and it isn't. It is not technically an independent country. That's not something you want to go around and proclaim here, if you know what I mean. Someone told me that the best way to think of it is that it's kind of like Puerto Rico. And the fact that, yeah, Puerto Rico is part of the United States. Those are American citizens. They have American passports. But they wouldn't call themselves Americans. They're Puerto Ricans. Åland Islands technically belongs to Finland. The people here are Finnish citizens. They have Finnish passports. But culturally and linguistically and pretty much in every other way, it's very Swedish. They speak Swedish. So yeah, they consider themselves a little more autonomous than maybe the rest of Finland or the rest of the world does, which is okay. So yeah, it's an island archipelago located between Finland and Sweden, kind of right smack dab in the middle. It's a smattering of 6,000 or so islands. I think 6,700, and it's not easy to get here, and it's a little more difficult to get around here, especially as a musician. So there are no roads to the mainland. You can take an airplane if you want to. That's not really conducive for us for multiple reasons. So once you cross flights out of the equation, then you get ferries. And there are hundreds of ferry routes. For broad strokes purposes, there are 2 categories of ferries. There's the main lines that are geared towards tourists, and there's kind of the local circuit. And since we wanted to see some of the smaller islands, there was no way that we could do that with just doing the main lines. And the mainline ferries are really, the best way to imagine them is they're kind of like cruise ships. You could step onto one of these things, and if you took a few things out of the equation, you would maybe think you were on a Carnival cruise. There are bars and buffets. There are slot machines. Some of them have spas, duty-free shops, like exactly the kind of thing that you would see in a European airport. You can, like, if you've seen one of these, like, you can just smell it. It's like, I hate them so much. So yeah, they're cruise ships that you can drive your car onto. And that's how most people get to and from the Åland Islands, is on these giant boats. And yeah, here's the thing about the local ferry circuit. It's not geared towards tourists. And the website is finicky at best. And it says online that you can book the tickets online and pay for it and do all that stuff like a normal ferry route. And I had been trying to do that probably since October of last year, because the schedules were posted online. I over-prepare for these kind of things sometimes, not all the time. So I've been trying to book these tickets for months, and it wouldn't let me. Tried multiple devices, multiple times of the day for months and months and months, and the booking part of the local ferry network would just not load. So I'm like, okay, can you even book these online, or do I just have to show up and hope that I get on the boat? And that's kind of what I resigned to. I was like, well, we got the schedule. I guess that's half of it. So hopefully get on the boat and make it to the gigs. I kind of stopped trying to book the tickets online a few months ago. I just got fed up with it because, like, there's only so many times that I could do something like that and get denied and not just give up. A few weeks ago, I was like, yeah, I'll give it another try. I haven't tried it. Magically, it works now. I have no idea who had to push what button for the website to start working. I mean, the website is still jank as hell, so it's not exactly smooth. We had a lot of boats to book, a lot of ferries to book. Started working on it. First couple boats, I got the last available car ticket. About halfway through, and some of them had no car tickets available. And I booked as many as I could, and luckily we had one off day. You know, there was a little wiggle room, but I wasn't really looking forward to, catching a 9:30 p.m. ferry that was going to last 2 hours and then still had to drive another hour after that to get where we were staying, which is what it looked like we were going to have to do. But I'm getting a little ahead of myself. So let's go back. So we took the ferry from Estonia to Finland. We played one show in Finland. Man, Finland is always kind of weird, but we were only there for one night, and it was really weird. We stayed in a really bizarre Airbnb. Didn't have many options because there's like a big rock festival in town that weekend. So very strange Airbnb. And we played at a bar that we played at last year. And we kind of knew what to expect. Very rowdy bar, very drunk, super divey, which is fine. We'll play places like that. Come on. I've played over 1,000 shows. I've ended up at places like that before. I know how to handle myself in those kind of places. So we start our set, start with some Poncho and Lefty, start strumming the opening chords, and we hadn't even sung yet, and this guy started heckling us, really loudly, yelling at us. And at first I thought something was wrong. I thought he was injured or something. And then I'm like, okay, he's just heckling us, whatever. And he kept heckling us through the whole set. And I've been heckled before. Like I said, I've played over 1,000 shows. I know how to handle myself. This isn't the first time that I've been in this situation. So I start firing back. He didn't like that. And he starts screaming at us more. Hey, quick sidebar. I just wanted to say, you can heckle me all you want. Go for it. Knock yourself out. Just know that I'm going to heckle you back. But what just didn't sit right with me is when he was heckling Amanda during her songs when she was trying to sing. I'm just not ever going to be cool with that. What he was so upset about was just the fact that we're Americans. And I also, I think he was working through some personal stuff as well. But yeah, can't win them all. All right, back into it. And I was about to fully snap and tell him dude, we're going to be on this stage for the next hour and a half. We're not going anywhere. We're going to play our set. If you don't like it, go to another fucking bar. And we were halfway through a song and he was yelling at us. And as we're playing this song, I'm preparing that speech as to what I'm going to say to him. Dude, you don't like us. You don't have to be here. We do. Luckily, as I was preparing that speech, he got kicked out. So that was good. So yeah, a bit of a strange night. Got back to the Airbnb. The next day was our first show in Åland. We were playing on the island of Lappo in Åland. And to get there from Finland, you have to take 3 ferries minimum. So yeah, we had kind of an early start and a really late night at that bar, and then a bit of a drive to our Airbnb. And then we hadn't eaten or showered yet. So late night, early for us morning, we were definitely feeling it. So yeah, 3 ferries. We had very little room for error with the schedules because if we missed one, then the whole itinerary was going to fall apart and we weren't going to make our gig that night. And the first one you couldn't book tickets for. It wasn't even it's not even an option ever. You just have to show up and get lucky. And I was like, great. If we show up to the first one and it's super busy, then we're screwed. So we were feeling it that day. We were feeling rough. But it all worked out. We got on all the ferries, made it to Lapo. Really tiny island, less than 100 full-time residents. Definitely get some tourists in the summer. Beautiful, beautiful island. The island isn't very big, but I'm not exaggerating. It's basically one big trail and disc golf course. Like that's literally what most of the island is. It's just like rock. And we wanted to swim, but it was chilly. And yeah, you can play disc golf. We didn't, unfortunately, because we don't have the discs. But very, very remote. And only one bar restaurant on the island. That's where we played. Only one grocery store, which was honestly smaller than most New York bodegas. It was basically a tiny bodega. That was basically all the island has, was where we played and the tiny grocery store. And we played 2 nights there. But I think I'm going to wrap it up for tonight. I think that's good. We'll finish. I said 2 parts. I think it's going to end up being 3. All right. All right, it's a little noisy here, so I'm going to do my best. So back to Lapo, Åland Islands. Like I said, there was only one bar/restaurant on the island, one little bodega-sized grocery store, one little hotel. So basically the few things that they do have on the island, there's only one of. And the Åland Islands are supposed to be Swedish-speaking, even though they belong to Finland. But I guess on Lapo, it ends up being mostly Finnish speaking because they're one of the farthest east of the Åland Islands. So I guess they speak Finnish since they're closer to Finland, even though it's weird. I don't know, because there's parts of mainland Finland that are even farther east than that speak Swedish. So I don't know. Anyway, the one hotel, the check-in is not at the hotel. There's like a little clothes shop between the marina and the restaurant. And it's like a shed. It's like a tough shed, basically. And they actually have like a bunch of really nice clothes, like if you're into sailing and whatnot. So yeah, walk in to check into the hotel at the shop, the tough shed shop. And I don't really speak Finnish or Swedish, but I can tell that the woman running the place is hyping up our shows to the few other people that are in there. Yeah, I could just tell that she was telling the other people, hey, there's music at the restaurant tonight and tomorrow. And I assumed that she was doing that because she saw me walk in and, you know, our faces are on posters and whatnot. So I assumed she recognized me and was just, trying to be nice, be like, oh, here he is. Let's try to drum up an audience. Start checking in. She starts giving me the rundown of everything and how the island works. And she goes, yeah, and just so you know, there's live music at the restaurant, both tonight and tomorrow night. And I just kind of like very slowly pointed my thumbs back at myself. And we both had a really good laugh. Really good food at the restaurant. Really fresh and local. Had some good fish. Shows were pretty good, kind of more of a dinner crowd, but still had a nice time. We were going to play outside originally, but the weather was not conducive to that. I always like playing places 2 nights in a row. I've done up to a week before, and I've done lots in between. Like 3, 4, that kind of gets a little stale by the end of it. But like 2 is really nice because you kind of have the one night to just kind of feel it out. And by the second night, you kind of know what to expect a little more. So yeah, the second night, I definitely felt a little bit better. And I just think the reception was a little better the second night, so that was nice. Yeah, I kind of talked before about the logistics of getting to the island and how tricky that is. And things are just just do not operate the same in these kind of places as they do in like a big city. And we got a really healthy dose of figuring that out. So I went to the bathroom after our second show, and the water that came out, like the fresh water that was, as I flushed the toilet, it was not clean. And I'm like, okay, that's weird. I don't know what's going on with this toilet. I just assumed it was like a plumbing thing. So I was like, okay, whatever, that's weird. So we get back to the hotel and start running the water in the sink, and it's the same thing. I'm like, okay, now I know why I always keep some bottles or cans of water in the car. I was instantly reminded of why I do that, so that if we ever get somewhere like this and the water is not drinkable, that's fine. I have some in the car. I'm prepared. So I was like, okay, that's fine. Go grab some water from the car. We'll be good for the night. And then Amanda's like, okay, well, what about showers? And I'm like, okay, I don't know about that. Let me do a little research. And like, there's not like a night. Yeah, there's not someone in Lapo to spread vital information at 10 o'clock at night. So like I looked online and stuff to like even just like find out like what to do in this kind of situation in Lapo when the water gets weird. And like, yeah, there's like, nothing on the municipal Facebook page or anything like that, or on the website. So I'm like, I don't know, let me take a shower and we'll go from there. I'll give it a whirl. I'll just try not to get any in my mouth. And as I'm getting ready for the shower, the water starts looking a little more clear, but it starts like sputtering really bad. And at first it's like just a little bit. It's like, okay, like I guess I can deal with this if I really have to. But then like it kept getting worse. It kept like flipping like the shower thing like back to bath, if that makes sense. So I guess I'll just like hold it with one hand and like try to shower with the other hand. Hey, one more sidebar. Even though the shower had like the bath mode, there wasn't an actual bathtub. Yeah, I would have gladly just taken a bath if that were an option. And then like it just kept getting like super violent and like actually painful. And like multiple times Amanda was like, is everything okay in there? Because, oh yeah, and like also it was like vibrating the plumbing to like the entire hotel. And like you could tell that like a couple other people were trying to use the water in various capacities. Yeah, the whole building was just like loud as hell with the plumbing. And yeah, it like got violent and to the point where it's just painful to stay in there. So I'm like, okay, I guess it's going to be a 2-minute shower for me. I go to Amanda, I'm like, yeah, you can try if you want, but it does, I don't think you're going to like it. And she tried, and yeah, I think she only got a couple minutes in as well. So that was a little frustrating. So next day we go back to the restaurant and I'm like, okay, definitely got to ask someone. Ask like one of the guys that, we had kind of talked to over the last couple of days. And he's like, oh yeah, that just kind of happens. Like it's perfectly safe. The water's fine. Like you're not going to get sick from it or anything. And he's like, oh, but that just happens sometimes after it rains a lot. So like, okay, well, that's good to know, I guess. Like, hey, it rained last week, so the plumbing may or may not be working. So heading from Lapo to the main island, kind of talked before about the difficulties of the ferry website and getting all the tickets booked and getting the right ones. So we like initially they didn't have room on the afternoon ferry, only like the 9 p.m. one. And I'm like, great, we're going to be just like on this island like all day without a hotel. Yeah, I was checking the website like every 10 minutes for like multiple days, like trying to get a slot on the afternoon one just so we didn't have to do that. And like I couldn't get one wasn't popping up from like the whole route. So like I started like searching like partial route. I'm like, okay, I'll just like piece this together hopefully as it becomes available, and I'll just book multiple tickets, and hopefully I end up with a full ticket all the way to the main island. So yeah, I ended up with two different segments, on the same boat. I was hoping that I wouldn't have to like drive the car off and then like turn right back around and try to get right back on the boat, because I'm like, okay, that's just dumb. And so yeah, we pull up to the ferry and I'm like, yeah, I'm going all the way to the main island, but I have it on multiple different tickets. And he's like, okay, just park here at the back. You're gonna have to back off and then whip it back on. I'm like, come on, man, just let me stay on the boat. I'm like, please don't sail away without us. But yeah, I was just able to I just bring it off by a few feet and then like bring it right back on. So all good. Got to the main island, played at this like kind of campground, outdoorsy resort kind of place. They had us in this like really cool cabin, like really nice surroundings, like kind of out in the woods. And like usually when you're at a place like that, it's a little rustic. It's a little too rustic sometimes. But here it was just like really nice. Like the inside of the cabin was like awesome. And it was like super quiet. And we're like, oh man. Or at least I was like, man, I could stay here all summer. Like I could live here. Had like everything we needed. And it was like moderately sized too. So unfortunately, we only stayed one night there, then got back on the ferries to go east again to Kokar, and another 2.5 hour ferry ride there. Weather was a little nicer. Island was also just so beautiful. Saw a bunch of deer and a bunch of other animals. That was cool. Got to play outside this time. The weather cooperated. And then going back to the main island, again, I couldn't get us in on like the early afternoon one. I could only get us on like early evening. Again, I was like hitting refresh like every 15 minutes trying to find an open slot. And one didn't pop up. So I'm like, you know what? We're just going to show up to that one and, be the last ones and plead with them and just be like, hey, like if you can squeeze us on this one, wait for everyone to get on. There's plenty of room. How is this a fully booked ferry? Like you could have fit like 6 or 7 more cars on there. So I pull up and I'm like, hey, I got a ticket for the later one. Can you squeeze me on this one? And like, he was so annoyed. I'm like, there's no one else coming. There's no one else behind us. That's the boat leaves in 5 minutes. And he was just, I don't know. I'm sure there was a reason why that I don't know. But I'm like, there's so much room. Just like, let us on. I'll even whip it off and whip it back on like I had to do before. Like, it's cool. Just like, help me out. Which he did. So all good. We had another double header in the main city, Mariehamn, that Friday and Saturday, and it was a wild, rowdy weekend, and I will save it for next time. All right. All right, let's finish up in the Åland Islands. So we pull back into Mariehamn for Friday, Saturday doubleheader at a bar/hotel. So when we went to the Åland Islands a few years ago, it was in the middle of a heat wave. And the Åland Islands are pretty far north. So when all of Europe is having a heat wave, this is a pretty good place to be. So it was in like the 80s and lower 90s for most of the week then, and not really anywhere had air conditioning. And we were just getting over COVID. It was a really hot and sweaty week back then. And we went swimming a lot. And the cold water with all those other factors felt really, really good. And there's a lot of really beautiful places to take some cold dips. We didn't want another heat wave, but we were looking forward to doing some swimming. And we didn't do any swimming in the Åland Islands this summer, which is kind of a bummer. We're really looking forward to that. The hotel had a pool, so we did that. A bit of a consolation. There were a couple times where the weather was kind of warm. It was in like the upper 60s, and we were like, all right, let's go for it. Let's try to get in the water. It's going to be cold, and we just couldn't do it. Too windy. Water was not a comfortable swimming temperature. So, no swimming. That's okay. So, first night of the doubleheader at the hotel, to be honest, we were in a little over our heads. It was a really rowdy bar, really drunk. We were playing late and long, and we're just two folk singers from the US with an acoustic guitar and a synth. And we play covers, but we kind of put our own twists on everything. And we don't do a lot of super poppy covers. We do a lot of deep cuts. In my experience, when you get the right audience who actually is familiar with the deep cuts, then that ends up working really well. We were getting requests for Celine Dion. Yeah, do I need to even go any further than that? I don't think so. I think that kind of sums it up. So, yeah, these sets were late and long, and by the end of night one, I was just done. I was just completely beat. I was like, Jesus, how am I going to do this again the next night? Which was another same identical deal, late and long. Rainy day the next day, just took it easy, went to the sauna for a little bit, and the crowd was a little more subdued. I don't know if like word got out that, hey, these two American folk singers aren't going to play Celine Dion for you. Don't even bother going. If that's what happened, then I'm happy. I had a bit of a normal bar show on Saturday. Was definitely feeling it also after the Saturday, but not quite as much as I was expecting. And the following Sunday and Monday, we had another doubleheader, but this one was outside at a marina and early and not as long. And I could just tell this one was going to be a lot more laid back. And I was definitely right. The hotel gigs like that, they're fun. They're good. They're staples for a well-balanced tour schedule, but they also just kind of feel a little corporate, and you don't always meet the owner or even know who the owner is. And when we pulled up to the marina, it was like the complete opposite. The woman that runs and owns the marina ran out and gave us a big hug right away, was just like super accommodating. Whatever we needed, just let her know. And it just felt much more personal. The audience was a lot more respectful and just kind of laid back and just kind of let us do our thing. They were a nice change of pace from the corporate rowdiness. And yeah, that Monday was our last show in Åland for this summer. And we took the ferry to Sweden after that on that Tuesday. I kind of talked before about how there's like two different ferry networks. There's like the tourist one, and then there's like the local one. And if you want to go from Åland to Sweden, you pretty much have to take a tourist one. And that was our first tourist ferry in Åland after riding the locals for the last week. And oh my God, we were definitely missing the local ferries when riding that, because it was completely packed. And we were like, where did all these people come from? Because you don't see that many people in Åland, and you don't see that many tourists. And I don't know, maybe we just completely avoided the tourist traps, but it was just like so many people on this boat. So thank God for noise canceling headphones, because I would not have survived. We got off the boat, and Amanda was like, oh my God, there are so many people, so many screaming children on that boat. And the band was playing, and I was like, there was a cover band playing. I had no idea because I had my noise canceling headphones on the entire time because it was too much. So yeah, that pretty much does it for Åland. Couple closing thoughts. We spent 8 or 9 days there this summer. I think we need a double, if not triple it, next year because just a really amazing place. And we played probably more shows than any other musicians will ever play in Åland. But it still felt like there were more places to play, and a lot of the places we did definitely seemed like we could have played there even more days. I think we need to do 2 or 3 weeks in Åland next year. I've kind of talked before a little bit about a place not fully hitting you until you're leaving. And when we were on the super crowded ferry, it definitely hit us. We're like, oh, we're going back to reality now. So yeah, I think 2 or 3 weeks in that bubble would be really nice. I think Åland's going to have a bit of a boom. I think it's going to take it a little while. It might take like 10 years, but I don't think it's going to become super touristy super quickly, but it definitely felt like people were catching on. Like I said, we didn't see a whole lot of people. I'm kind of a habitual license plate looker when we're traveling through Europe, and there were a lot of license plates from other countries from really far away, more than I remember last time. I think that's because in June and July, where a lot of people would go somewhere like Italy or Greece or Spain, it's just getting way too hot to do that. In those countries, it's like 100, 110 degrees in summer, and that's not fun. I think that just kind of in general, people are going to start shifting farther and farther north for their summer holidays. Yeah, I hope it doesn't get super crazy. I hope it retains its charm as much as possible, but I think that tourism is going to keep moving up in Åland, and I think might see a Marriott or even a Starbucks or something like that in the not too distant future. But I don't think it's going to have any trouble retaining its charm because it's really a magical place, and I think it's going to take a lot to undo that. So I'm not worried. All right, just a couple more quick closing thoughts and we'll wrap this one up. One more that's kind of specific to Åland and our time spent there. I really think that the Åland Islands might become an independent country one day, similar to the tourism boom. I don't think it's going to happen overnight. It's going to take a little time, but it seems like things are moving in that direction there. So I think that's going to be really interesting to see what happens. Last thing I want to talk about is, like I mentioned, I found out about the Åland Islands by just looking on a map and being intrigued and going there. And I know that that's something that a lot of people aren't able to do. And I don't take that for granted, truly. But I just looked on a map, and after going for the second time, it really is one of my top 5 favorite places that I've ever been to in the whole world. No one ever told me to go there. And the point I'm trying to make here is the hidden gems still exist. There are so many places that are just over-traveled because people tell you that you have to go there. The world is huge. You don't have to go anywhere. Pick somewhere that you want to go, find somewhere that looks intriguing, and see if you can make it there. I really think that we're probably past the golden age of travel. Traveling is definitely not as cheap or easy as it was then, but it's still infinitely easier and cheaper than it was 100 years ago. And there's also never been a better time to get information about a place using the internet before you go. So yeah, use that to your advantage. Don't wait for someone to give you an idea of where to go. The gems are still out there. They really are. You just might have to take 3 ferries in order to get to them. Åland Islands, thank you so much. Thank you for becoming one of our favorite places in the entire world. We can't wait to come back. We'll see you next summer. Hopefully gonna see some new islands. So yeah, I think that's gonna do it for this one. Thank you so much for listening, and I will see you next time.